Hello! Today we're going to talk about mastery paths in Canvas. Creating personalized lessons for our students is not an easy task, but Canvas can give us a hand. Mastery paths is a feature that allows the customization of lessons and assignments based on students' performance. Let's see how it works step by step. The first step is to enable mastery paths. So we click on Settings, Feature Options tab, and we enable it. If you don't see this option, you must talk to the Canvas administrator in your institution. So go back to Models. Before we start creating the learning paths, we need to have all the components of our lessons created and organized on Models. Assignments, discussions, quiz, tests, and even pages are items that can be used as conditional items in mastery paths. Here, in this example of an English course, I have a unit on parts of speech. The following step is to select a grade activity to evaluate students. This is our foundational content. Here, at the beginning of this unit, I have a pre-test to measure students' proficiency in this skill. Student learning path will be defined by their score on this assignment. For this reason, it must be assigned to everyone. So go back to Models. Next, we will need to enable our items as conditional content to be used on mastery path. How do we do this? Pages. We edit them. And here at the end, we click on Allow in Mastery Paths and save. Tests, quizzes, assignments, and discussions. We simply edit them and assign to mastery paths and save it. Yes, I want to assign for mastery path. Going back to Models. I have already assigned all the other items before this training to save us time. The last step is to create the learning path. For this, we will enter our initial activity. The foundational content in my unit is the pre-test. Click on Edit. And now we can see a new tab, Mastery Paths. Here is where we will set up the learning path for the different groups. Canvas by default divides the students into 3 scoring ranges. We can change these 3 groups as needed, so I will change the first group, students who score about 80. The intermediate students for me is those who score about 50, and I'll keep 0. Now that we have the scoring range set up, we can start adding content to the learning paths. We click here on this button with a plus sign to see our conditional content and assign them for our groups. If there are too many, we can filter by type, or we can search the item by name. For more advanced students, I will assign the project and I also assign the discussion. For these intermediate students, I will assign the 8 parts of speech and the active 2. And for these students, I will also assign the 8 parts of speech reading and practice test and activity 1. And I think that's it. Can you see this little N button between items? It means students are required to complete all these assignments. But for the advanced students, I want to give the option to choose between these 2 tasks. So I click on this N button and voila, it becomes OR. And the items are separated now. So the students on this learning path will have the option to choose between participate on the discussion or doing the project. This setup page allows us to add and remove activities, change the order of activity by drag and drop them, move them from one track to the other, and to change the requirements by click on N or button. Okay, now that we have created all the learning paths, click on Save. Don't forget to save. And here in Models, we can check if all the items are assigned to the mastery paths and make sure they have been assigned to the correct group. Here I can see my pre-test, showing that the mastery paths will be based on the score of this activity. And here we have this link, and you can always go back to mastery path setup page to review or make changes. Then we have the conditional activities, the 8 parts of speech assigned to multiple groups, the practice assigned to the group who score from 0 to 50, activity 1 also 0 to 50, activity 2 assigned to the group who score from 50 to 8, and the discussion and Phantom of the Opera project assigned to the group who score from 80 to 100, and finally the final test, which is not part of the conditional item once all students are required to take it at the end of the unit. So now that you know how to use mastery paths, you will be able to personalize lessons or tracks for students based on their performance to make sure that every student will be able to master the lesson at the end of the unit.